We've heard a lot over the last few years about how disinformation and misinformation is affecting modern media. And last night, I had the chance to talk with former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan, Barbara McQuade, who's currently a professor from practice at the University of Michigan Law School and a legal analyst with MSNBC. She just published her first book, Attack from Within: How Disinformation is Sabotaging America, which tackles how disinformation is affecting our society, how it can be identified, and how we can fight against it.
One of the things I have seen in recent years is the growing threat of disinformation to our national security. And so I wanted to write an accessible book to help people understand what these tactics are so that we can identify them, name them, and defeat them. I think some of the things we're seeing today are some of the same strategies we've seen used by authoritarians of the past, Mussolini and Hitler and others. So one of them is this idea of declinism. Society is bad. Everything is bad. The country is not as good as it used to be, creating this sense of victimhood. And then to demonize others and scapegoat them and say, and the reason everything is so bad is these other people. And so driving a wedge between groups in society to amass power. In playing on fear, suggesting that the world is a very frightening place, and so to protect what we have and what is ours, we might need to resort to drastic means. I think speaking particularly in this election year, when no doubt there will be all kinds of disinformation bombarding us, trying to persuade us to vote in a certain way or to confuse us about voting, I think one of the things we can do is to seek out accurate information by looking to credible sources. So when it comes to voting, looking at the Secretary of State's website or the League of Women Voters websites. These are nonpartisan groups that will give you accurate information minus any spin whatsoever.
What role do you see the government playing in combating disinformation, and what specific measures would you recommend?
I think the government has a big role to play here. Of course, we are all the government, and we need the political will to address some of these things. So one is regulating social media. There are computer programs that deliberately drive content to us that's designed to generate outrage. And so the algorithms are something we could regulate. We could either prohibit these kinds of algorithms designed to manipulate us, or at least require their disclosure. I think another thing we could do is to have some reforms to the way our campaigns are financed. One of the things that we're seeing online is no requirement to disclose who's paying for the ads. So even if special interest has an unlimited number on what they can pay for, at least we could see who they are with some changes in the law. We could also have one more requirement online, and that is to prohibit the use of anonymous accounts. Anonymous accounts are what allow people to pose as people they are not and fool others. The use of bots online to amplify the popularity of messages. If we could prohibit that and people had to actually be verified, I think that would go a long way towards stopping the lies and the meanness that we see online. I think some of these things are government regulations that we would need to do. Some require acts of Congress, but some of the things we really have the power to do ourselves. All of us could do a better job of learning media literacy ourselves, to identify second sources, to look at a story and not just the headline before we pass it on. But I think the most important thing is we need to choose for ourselves our commitment to truth. I think that in today's polarizing age, all of us are very willing to just argue the position of our side rather than looking for compromise, looking for nuance, and trying to find a way forward. We have to be more concerned about solving problems than we are about winning.
With all the information that's out there across several different platforms, it's more important than ever that we are all well-informed media consumers.